Dear students, I'm Kritika, Faculty of History, here at Unacademy IAS Offline. So I teach History Optional and General Studies here at Karol Bagh Center. So are you worried about History Optional? So I'm happy to inform you that I'm starting a new History Optional batch which would commence on May 30th. So the fee for the optional would be 50,000. Now the next question is history bothering you? Why should I choose history as my optional? Is the subject easy? Is it approachable? Is it engaging? Can I manage it with my time to study the general studies? So all these queries would be answered here by me now. So let's begin with a small orientation of why history as an optional. Now, before getting into the history optional of the do, do's, why, what, and also, let me give you a small glimpse now. Just I'm taking you to the general studies paper. So this general studies paper, if you look at it, there are 4 core subjects of GS. The first core subject being history, followed by geography, followed by economics, and followed by polity. Plus you have the other subjects, plus the other subjects. These 4 subjects are called as the core subjects of the general studies. Now coming on to history, what is the syllabus there? In history, the first one we have ancient Indian history, followed by medieval Indian history, followed by art and culture, followed by modern Indian history. Then we have post-independence history. Then we have world history. So these are compulsory papers for general studies. A student who likes history or who do not like history has to study them all because general studies is a compulsory paper. Now, if you look at these all, so the pattern has changed drastically that after 2013, all these were included by UPSC. So keep this on one side. Now let me take you to the history optional paper. If you look at the history optional paper, like any other paper, it is divided into 2. So the first part, we call it as paper 1 and we have paper 2. So as we all know that optionals are for 500 marks. So let me give you a small calculation. You have 4 GS papers, so which is 250 marks each. So 250 into 4. So your GS papers are for 1000 marks. Number 2, optional is for 500 marks. Then you have your essay. Your essay is for 250 marks. So in total, it is 1750 marks. Here, optional play a very crucial role because essay and general studies are compulsory for any candidate. So any student who's preparing for this exam has to write all the 4 GS papers and the essay paper. But if you're smart enough, you can choose your optional. And let me tell you one thing, all optionals are equally important. So don't have that misconception that one optional is good, the other one is small, one is big, one is lengthy, one is, scoring. No, not at all. UPSC doesn't set optional papers accordingly. Maybe the syllabus might look big, but the syllabus is precise. So keep that in mind. All optionals are equally good. If you have interest, you can choose any optional, whichever you're able to write in answer. But check on with the 3 things what I'm going to tell you now. So before getting into it, so history optional is for 500 marks. So we have 2 paper 1 and paper 2. Now, when you divide the paper, so we have paper 1, we have section A. Paper 1, we have section B. The same goes with paper 2, section A, and we have section B. Now, in a rough ideology, I'll tell you that paper 1, section A is your ancient Indian history. Paper 1, section B is our medieval Indian history. Paper 2, section A is modern Indian history. And section B, paper 2 is world history. So this is our syllabus. So now I'm just taking you to the previous slide to give you an idea that what are the GS subjects which are compulsory: ancient, medieval, art and culture, modern, post-independence and world history. But what is there in our optional? We have ancient, we have medieval, these are paper 1, and we have modern and world, these are paper 2. So it's very clear. So don't you think GS history has got more weightage than optional history? This is what we need to understand. So we do not have post-independence in optional. The syllabus stops with Jawaharlal Nehru, that is a period of 1964. A very short note of, the prime ministership of Nehru. So we don't need to do about the other prime ministers, which we have in general studies. And art and culture, we don't have the allied topics of puppetry, like awards. So all those topics, we do not have it in history optional. We have some topics like architecture, like painting, like dance. But the contemporary part, we do not have in our optional. So which means automatically you can skip these two out. So isn't it, as a general studies student, the first fact, what would I tell you is why history optional is, it's an overlapping subject with general studies. Exactly, it overlaps. So this is what I was trying to tell you out. So this is the syllabus of history optional. So ancient India, medieval, modern and world. And if you look at 500 marks here, so paper 1 is for 250 marks and paper 2 is for 250 marks. So which naturally goes like 125, 125, 125 and 125. So if you get into the exact part of how the paper goes, UPSC clearly says that paper 1 has got 8 questions in total. So you have 8 questions in total. So getting it? So there are 8 questions in total in paper 1, out of which 1 and 5 are compulsory. So 1 and 5 would be compulsory here. So you can't skip them. There's no choice here in 1 and 5. The same applies with paper 2. So paper 2 has got 8 questions in total. So I'm taking running numbers here. So out of which 1 and 5 are compulsory. So these are compulsory ones, which is for 50 mark. And in this section A, the compulsory part in section A is your map marking. So we do not have map marking in medieval. We do not have map in modern. We do not have map in world. So it's only map, and particularly the map is pertaining to India. It can be India political map or India outline, or it could be, at times we get India physical map also. So these are the 3 maps which we are going to study, and this map is for 50 marks. So you need not want to be a cartographer to do the mappings in history optional, not at all. If you exactly know the place, where to mark it, and if you're able to write 30 words about a place, I think that would be more than sufficient. So this is about the, the division of how the paper runs away. So clear? So exactly what you study in your GS is exactly replicating here in history optional. Now, what are the advantages of history optional? So why history optional? Why? What are the positives of history optional? So why should I choose history optional? So I would tell you a few points that the first one, it is overlapping with GS. So it is overlapping with your general studies. As I showed you that, so ancient, medieval, modern and world, it's exactly the same what we study in GS, number 1. The second one is it's a factual subject. So which means it is a static subject. You need not study more. So what I teach you, what I give you, what you write in the classes as class notes in a dictated form, you're just going to memorize your facts, because facts are not going to change. So it's a static subject. No technicality is required to study this subject. You study history for once. For life, this subject is going to be with you. So this subject will stand by you. Number 2, since it's a factual subject, it is a scoring subject. Of course, it is scoring. How can facts be wrong? If you make it wrong, then the facts would go wrong. So how could the Dandi March here go wrong? The Battle of Plassey, the Battle of Panipat, Napoleon Bonaparte, Indus Valley Civilization. If you know the facts and you write your answer, automatically it is scoring. And we all would have heard about a student called Shruti Sharma who scored, she was a topper, she scored rank, she was a ranker, rank 1, and she scored with history optional. So how could history not be a scoring optional? It is a scoring optional. So these are misconceptions what generally people keep talking about. The next one is, it is an interesting subject. Who doesn't like stories? Because history is all about a factual story. It's in a story format. And the story has got some facts into it. So it is highly interesting. And since it's overlapping, if I want to tell you the percentage, 85% of the syllabus is overlapping with your GS. Ma'am, then what is that 15%? That is the depth what we go with some topics. Say, for example, in general studies, we don't have a kingdom called the Ahom kingdom, which comes during the Mughal. We don't have them. But in optional, we'll be studying about the Ahom. So little bit of extra are there in some kingdoms. Say, for example, the Vijayanagar Empire is very important for our general studies. But in optionals, what do we study? What is the nature of Vijayanagar state? Why do we call the Vijayanagar state as a segmentary state? Is the Chola state a feudal state? So we have some sorts of debates here, some historiography there. So those would be actually dealt. That is what I tell you. It is highly an interesting subject. And we are going to study about our past. So how would past not be interesting? And the past is always put in a story format. So it is an interesting one. And not all years are important. Not all years are important. So generally students ask me this question, ma'am, should I study all the years? No, but there are some important years. So some important years, like you need to know the Battle of Tarain. So 1191 is the Battle of Tarain. 1526 is the Battle of Panipat. 1757, it's the Battle of Plassey. So getting it? So 1600 BC, it's the Battle of 10 Kings. So you need to know the basic things about, like what? The basic thing which even a GS student will know. So you're not going to study something extra. Say, for example, you need not memorize like 21st April 1526, the first Battle of Panipat was fought. No, we are not required to do them. But some years, say, for example, the Battle of Waterloo, which took place in 1815, when Napoleon was defeated. And of course, the World War, which began in 1914. So these years are important. Not all years are important. So keep that in mind. Generally, students think that you study history, you need to know everything. Not at all. And the next one is, there are limited sources. There are limited sources to study. See, I generally, as a teacher, with 16 years of teaching history optional, I generally tell my students that study the class notes, and I would be giving you one reference book, because at times class notes would be in a dictated format, sometimes it will be in a running note style, and sometimes you'll have pointers, because whenever I teach a place, I do give pointers in between the class. So as a student, when you need to get the background, to get the flow, or to read the estimates of a particular ruler, I would give you only one book to read. And that book, I would mark the chapters and give. The entire book is not to be studied. But of course, your class notes will be bigger. You'll have detailed class notes. So the limited sources are only available. So you're not going to read all the books which is there. It's my duty to read all the books, and it's my duty to teach you all of them according to our syllabus. So keep one thing in mind. We are here not to do MA history or MPhil history. Any student who likes the subject, who thinks that I can own the subject, can take history as an optional. So these are the positive pointers. Generally, I tell students that if you keep all of them in mind, you can choose history as your optional. Now, again, how to choose an optional? Ma'am, how do I choose history as an optional? The first one, the love towards the subject. Do you love the subject? Let it be history, let it be geography, anthropology, psychology, whatever subjects you keep in your mind. Do you like the subject? Are you developing an interest in the subject matters? Ma'am, I'm not from a history background, but I like history. Go for it. Ma'am, I'm from a history background. I don't like history. I like geography. Go for that. So you have to choose your optional according to your personal interest. My friend is taking geography. My friend takes pub, so I would take it. Maybe your friend would clear, you will not clear. So optional should be like you should like the subject and you should have a personal interest, because generally optionals go for 6 months. Are you getting it? Because I'm a bit slow a teacher, so I teach little bit slow. I never jump, I never skip, I don't run. So my optionals will generally be in its own pace. So it will take some time. So when you sit in my optionals, so don't expect me to run. If you are interested, that interest should pull you to the subject, and that interest should pull you to the classes. So interest of the subject. Number two, check whether you have a teacher to teach the subject. The teacher plays a very, very important role in teaching optional. Why? Because a student nowadays, why coaching institutes play a very important role? Because syllabus is scattered. A student does not know which one to study, where to pick it up and formulate. Here comes the role of the teacher. A teacher gives you a direction, what to study, what not to study. It's only the teacher. That is why coaching institutes play a very, very important role. See, those days are gone where students used to say, I studied at home by myself. Those days are gone. But now, according to the pattern, you require a teacher. So a teacher would tell you that this is not there in the syllabus and this is there in the syllabus. You should write your answer. This is how you make your answer. And who would check your paper? Who would evaluate your paper? How will you get your copies checked? It's all your teacher. And if you have any doubts, how would you get it clarified? Teacher. So make sure that whether you have a good teacher to teach you the subject. The third one, do you have books for that subject? Books, I mean here is study material. So does the optional what I'm going to choose have books there, at least one book to read, so which makes me comfortable to read? History has got umpteen books, because today everyone writes book about history, but we are here to just make sure that we are moving according to our syllabus. So if these three things are with you, and if history stands with you here, getting it, take in trust with the teacher, and then history would be your optional. So this is from my side. I was supposed to give you a small orientation. So, generally my orientations, I keep it very small and crisp so that you just process it, try to understand it. And one more thing, take the history optional syllabus copy and go through the syllabus. And when you read the syllabus copy, the same would be formulated and the same you could find it in your general studies. So getting it? So almost we've written all the positives and I've just briefed you about how the paper is actually going on. So thank you so much. Do choose your optional wisely. So I'm here to teach you history optional. If you like and want to join history optional, do join us here at Unacademy and get yourself registered. Thank you.